Hi everyone, welcome back to the Threat Briefing podcast. If you caught up our last episode, we unpacked how attackers might leverage Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 to speed up reconnaissance, especially once they compromised an identity. Today, we're going deeper. Some recent Red Team research has shown how real those concerns are, including examples where Copilot for SharePoint was able to bypass protections and expose restricted data like passwords. To break this down, I'm joined today by Dimitri, one of our brilliant security researchers who's been analyzing these attack techniques and their implications. Hi, Dimitri.
Hello.
You've likely read the Forbes and Pentest Partners article. What stood out most to you about how Copilot for SharePoint was exploited?
Well, for me, it was a validation of our prediction that LLMs will actually be used actively for recon within compromised enterprises. We imagined and predicted this specific scenario. We worked on functionality, detection of functionality in our product to detect it, and it was satisfying to actually see that this is a valid scenario. Somebody else thought about it, and it was actually seen in the field, and we now have the ammunition, we have techniques to try and detect that.
Both articles frame Copilot as an accelerant for reconnaissance. How exactly does it help attackers find sensitive content faster?
Large language models are great at a lot of things, and in particular, they're great at summarizing content. And this is very valuable for attackers. So if you imagine how attackers work, let's say they compromise a particular account, they're just entering the enterprise, and most of the time they really don't know a lot about this company. They want to learn about what's available, what the internal resources are. So they have a lot of work to do on that initial access. They have to do a lot of recon in order to just learn. And because large language models are so great at analyzing and summarizing content, they could be great help for attackers in that regard. Large language models will do the searching for you because they're actively trained, in case of Microsoft Copilot, they're actively trained on all companies' data. They can make sense of what's available and then summarize and answer questions about the content. So instead of attackers doing a whole bunch of search queries and trying to imagine the search terms to look for, they could just ask the large language model. And LLMs, I guess you can think of them as being very helpful and knowledgeable insiders that are at the same time can be very gullible in terms of social engineering techniques. So you can ask it questions in such a way that LLMs can inadvertently reveal very sensitive information about the enterprise.
Is Copilot just surfacing data that the user technically already has access to, or is it just unintentionally overstepping visibility boundaries?
Well, in this particular case, it was a little bit of both. Microsoft did respond to this particular blog saying that Copilot was working as designed. It was only possible for it to see what this particular exploited user would see. However, the devil is in the details. There was a particular protection mechanisms that they have kind of configured for this file that was revealed, and that mechanism didn't allow attackers to see the actual data right away, but Copilot was helpful in still revealing the contents of the file. So technically, the protections weren't bypassed in a serious way. However, it demonstrates how in cases where things are maybe misconfigured or there are bugs in Microsoft functionality, Copilot can be helpful in bypassing those protections.
Right. The ability to avoid access logs and recent file views when using Copilot is concerning. What kind of detection gaps does that create for Defender?
Well, in general, I've been working with Microsoft logs for a few years now. Unfortunately, there's lots of room for improvement there, and we have blogged about that in the past. With addition of Copilot, logging was added to cover that functionality, but still there are certain areas that we think warrant improvement. From what we've seen, some Copilot activity that's being logged is not always complete from the defender's point of view. You don't see all the different pieces of information that you want to see as a defender. So for example, we noticed that some events don't have IP addresses associated with them. That would make it helpful for us to identify where activity is coming from geographically. You do get lists of resources touched by Copilot, and that we're actively using it to try and determine what the prompts are about and what kind of information was revealed. But at the same time, while the functionality to log the prompts and log the responses is available in Microsoft, it's kind of not very well documented, not as easy to get to. So for defenders, it'll be a learning exercise about how to properly set up Copilot logging, where to look for important information.
Red teamers describe success by disguising their prompts as internal security audits. How easy is it to trick these agents into helping with malicious tasks?
So what attackers are doing is called prompt injection, and it's actually a very new field in security that currently enjoys just exploding growth. Pretty much every day you hear about a new prompt injection technique where you can use language creatively in order to bypass defense mechanisms that developers have put in their large language model chat agent. There are even hacking competitions going on where red teamers compete on who can pose a prompt to a defended chat engine in such a way that it bypasses protections. And it's, in general, it's a very hard problem to solve right now. A lot of cybersecurity scientists believe that it may actually be unsolvable in the way the chat agents are currently implemented, with the same channel, the chat channel, being used for both data and commands issued by a user. So we may see these types of attacks for the foreseeable future. They're very hard to detect, and not only detect but defend against, because humans are very creative. So I'm actually thinking that we need some fundamental shift in how chat agents are implemented before this problem can be solved once and for all. So basically, to answer your question, it's very easy to trick these agents. Developers are trying constantly to put up defenses to try and detect language that may be malicious, but it's a constant cat and mouse game that will probably continue for the foreseeable future.
So what would you say the risks are, especially about the custom agents, especially ones trained on proprietary data or with expanded site scope?
Yeah, so custom agents are interesting. They're not developed by Microsoft. They actually give customers ability to develop their own agents, to train it not only on data stored inside Microsoft's ecosystem, but on external data stored elsewhere in the company. So there is often less control, less visibility. Functionality that Microsoft provides is used by many customers, so they probably work out the bugs much faster. The custom functionality developed by the customer may be less tested. We don't know how experienced developers that are developing it are in the field of security, how knowledgeable they are about different exploits. So testing may be less stringent. Logging may be less available. That's what's available for Microsoft's functionality. There's greater possibility for classic software vulnerabilities that we see in software in general. So I would say the combination of proprietary data, maybe less stringent testing and lower visibility makes it a more risky affair.
Finally, one last question. If you could give just one recommendation to a CISO under pressure to adopt Copilot worldwide, what would it be?
Well, I would say Copilot being a new field, it's very exciting. A lot of companies are seeing a lot of benefit from large language models in general. So there is a rush to implement it in the enterprise. And this day and age, security being front of mind for most companies, customers may assume that Copilot is developed with security concerns in mind, that it's secure enough to deploy safely. And they, for the most part, they would be right. Microsoft is paying serious attention to all things security, but nothing is perfect. It's new technology. We're seeing lots of interesting techniques that attempt to abuse it. So my advice to the CISO would be that even though it comes from Microsoft, it's a respected company, to not be complacent, to pay attention to securing this technology, pay attention to how things are configured. There are lots of settings internally for maybe segregating your really sensitive data that maybe shouldn't even be exposed to Copilot, and pay attention to monitoring. You really want to monitor Copilot activity, because this technology acting as a knowledgeable insider is a ripe target for exploitation. Attackers will be going after it. So with having detection in depth as a concept in mind, you need to not only make sure things are configured securely, but they're also monitored.
Well, thank you very much, Dmitry, for sharing your valuable insights. So if there's one takeaway, it's this: AI doesn't change the fundamentals of security, but it does speed up the consequences of getting them wrong.
Yes.
So if you're a defender thinking about Copilot, this is a time to revisit SharePoint hygiene, access controls, and visibility gaps before attackers beat you to it. For more conversations like this, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to see how Vector AI detects identity-based threats and Copilot abused in real time, watch our product briefings or check out our self-guided demo at vectra.ai. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. Thank you.